Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Dirty Little Secrets, Part 2, Episode 2. Tonight, we're going to talk about the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. If you've never heard of compound interest, let me tell you, you're going to learn a few things tonight. So, hopefully, you're live and you're tuned in. If not, go ahead and type replay in the chat if you're watching the replay. Before we get started, first and foremost, this is sponsored by Covered by Saran and Dirty Little Money Secrets, as well as the Millionaire Ladies Mob, where we educate folks on how to spend, save, and grow their money. So, compound interest. What is compound interest? Most people don't have any idea what compound interest is, right? So, let me break it down to you. Compound interest, or the rule of 72, which is what is also known as compound interest, started with the Census Bureau. They basically use this rule of 72 to determine how long it would take the population to double. Well, the banks and financial institutions use it to determine how long it will take your money to double. And it's super simple. It's the simplest formula you've ever seen. You take the number 72, you divide it by whatever interest rate you're currently getting. So if you have a CD or a savings account, which a lot of people do, and you divide it by the interest rate you're getting, which right now is around 0.25%, a quarter percent, or half a percent if you're lucky and it's a little bit higher. And the answer, whatever the answer to that division question is going to be how many years it takes your money to double. So let me give you a quick example. The quick example is if you have your money invested somewhere at let's say 3%. Let's say your bank was, super amazing and they gave you 3%. Well, if you divide 72 by 3, the number 3, which is 3%, if you had $1,000 at age 40, and you put it in the bank at 3%. If you did nothing else to that money, you didn't put anything in, you didn't take anything out, you just let it sit at that interest rate. Well, there in 64 years, you are going to have your money double automatically. Isn't that amazing? You didn't do anything else. And so the thing is that when you think about compound interest, it's amazing. So imagine if your money would compound daily at 3%. You're going to see larger amounts of money, or weekly or monthly. But most banks are only going to credit you annually on your accounts, right? And so that's really what the rule of 72 is. So it has a bunch of different ways to look at it. But at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out how to have your money double without you doing anything else. Right. And that's when they say making money while you sleep. You want to make money while you sleep, you figure out how to master the rule of 72. Warren Buffett talks about it. Einstein calls it the eighth wonder of the world. And many of us just don't know. We put our money in a savings account because that's what we were told to do. I mean, it's way better than sticking it in a mattress like used to do back in the day. But you're still only getting a small amount. And then that interest that you do gain over the time, you're going to pay tax on it at the end of the year. And then it's going to compound. So that's the thing you really want to look out for. The other thing you want to think about with compound interest is this. And I'm going to give you a little choice for those of you who are watching live, and if you're watching the replay. If I gave you the option between me giving you $1 million today, or I give you a penny and let it compound over 30 days, not 30 years, 30 days, which would you choose? Well, a lot of people are going to say $1 million because they don't understand the power of compounding interest. If you were to take that penny a day at 30 days, that money will make $1 million by around day 20. And by day 30, it's going to be worth over $5 million. That's the power of compound interest, just taking one penny. Now, could you imagine if you had invested thousands of dollars and allowed it to compound? And those are the things that I teach my clients in our one-on-one meetings, is how to take their money and compound it daily, weekly, and monthly and annually, so that their money is working for them. So they're not sitting around waiting for someone to say, here, you're worth more money, let me give it to you. They're figuring out ways to earn it. And that's really where we start looking at the power of compound interest. Now, let's take that same example that we talked about earlier. A 40-year-old person taking $1,000, and let's say they're pretty savvy and they play around with it in a stock market, right? Not today's current stock market, because we know it's a little down, But if you're smart and you really know what you're doing in the stock market, there are plenty of people making money in the stock market right now. Do not be fooled by the markets being down. But there are a lot more people losing money in the stock market, especially in their retirement accounts. And if you're one of those people, please set up a time we can talk about some options for you. But if all things being equal, the market good, a regular trader who doesn't know how to mastermind when the market is down, if you were making, let's say you were making around 18% on your stock investments using the rule of 72, that same $1,000 would double in only 4 years. And that's the power of compound interest. And a lot of people do not understand it. So most people will get their dollar, whatever we'll call that dollar your salary, take it, pay bills, and then whatever's left over they'll try to invest or try to do different things. Well, the better idea is to take the money, that dollar that you get, figure out how to invest and grow, and then pay the bills with the money that you grew it from. It's a complicated formula, maybe not, but the thing is that these are the ways that rich people are able to take their money and use it more than one time. Now let me give you one other example of compound interest. Let's say someone were to go into an equity index strategy, and that's one of the strategies that I work with people with as well. And take that same rule of 72. Let's say equity index is getting around 12%. Divide 72 by 12. That money's going to double in 6 years. Well, that same $1,000 in 6 years is worth $2,000. And they did nothing else, right? Now, this gets even more juicy and exciting when you start talking about being able to invest in different markets. Like, I know people are doing a lot in cryptocurrency, and I do that as well. And there are ways that you can put it into strategies where it's compounding daily, weekly, and monthly. And those are the things that we could really look at and look at the calculators and see, if I put $1,000 into a different strategy, one time, or if I do something monthly, if I do a couple $100 monthly, how is that going to compound for me over time? And this is the conversation that I want to have with many people, and it's a dirty secret because we're working so hard. I mean, raise your hand if you're working hard. If you had a job and you were working hard, you're showing up on time, you're grinding out your work, you're getting your paycheck every 2 weeks or every week or every month, depending on your pay strategy, but the money's just not growing. It's because you're working and your money's not. Your money is unemployed. We need to employ our money. Your money's not getting an unemployment check because it's not working. It's just sitting around losing value because of inflation. We'll have a whole talk about inflation all together one night. But the thing is that we have to get into these strategies and these other investment tools to do. I was reading some articles last week about women and money. And one of the things that they say, the top 5 reasons women don't have enough money in retirement, is because they don't take enough risk, enough calculated risk or planned risk, or do it with someone professional in order to have that money grow. We're just working hard, right? And I'm trying to work with women to get us to work smarter, to where we have the lavish later years, while we've already grinded out most of the years. If you're in your 40s, you've already grinded out about 20-25 years working after college, right? But the thing is that we don't have to work so hard if we get our money to work smarter for us. If we go with and we do the things where we are putting our money in the equity index strategy first, taking that money and then reinvesting it to do something else, and then continuously having our money move. Our money needs to be on the move all the time. Every time you get a dollar from your paycheck and you go to the store and you spend it first, you've just lost the value of that dollar forever. And I know people don't talk to you that way, but why would you lose the value of that dollar forever when you could have taken it a different route that maybe you're not familiar with, or you feel like, I'm not sure about that? We'll do it with someone who knows how to do it. Take that dollar, put it into equity index, then take the money out of the equity index, then do an investment, then spend the money. So it's a process a little bit different than what you're used to. But let's say this, who does do that strategy? The bank. The bank takes your money and cycles your money 3, 4, 5, 10 times, and they're making money with your money every time your direct deposit hits the bank. Why aren't you making more money with your money every time it hits the direct deposit in your bank? That's one of the things that we talk to our clients about one-on-one. We put together individual strategies for them. But that's just, one of my dirty little secrets. But the thing is that it's the power of doubling. It's the power of doubling that we do not take advantage of. Now, and this, I'm just telling you a little bit, a surface conversation, really about how it can work for you. But let me tell you how it doesn't work for you and how it works against you. If you have a credit card and you're on this chat, you can type one in the chat. You can say, yeah, I got one, or whatever, or wave your hand at me, or send me a text. If you have a credit card and it has an interest rate, and if it's not 0% interest rate and you're paying interest on it, what happens is you're losing money because the rule of 72 is working against you, because the banks understand how it works. So if they take you, if you get your paycheck in, and then they give you, let's say your paycheck every 2 weeks is $1,000, right? And they give someone else a credit card or a line of credit for $1,000. Well, your money's coming into your checking account with no interest. Well, then they start loaning out your money, or whatever you have in your savings or your CDs or your money markets, which is guaranteed money that they have you stay there for a period of time. Then they give someone a credit card, right? They're going to give that person a credit card at varying interest rates, right? So they might issue 10, 15, 20,000 credit cards. They're going to be 3%, 10%, 18%, and the interest rates just get crazy, right? Well, the difference between what they paid you to hold your money for you and the amount of interest they collect back on those credit cards is what they call a spread. That's their compound interest. And oh, by the way, they say they're charging you 18%, but it doesn't work that way. The simplest way to think about compound interest is this. If you had $1,000, and let's say 10%, which is the easy number to multiply, and you get 10% interest on it every year. So that means at the end of the year, if you put $1,000 in, you would have $1,100. Most banks pay you simple interest. And so that means next year, that $1,000, you get another $100. So you have $1,200. Now, if it's compounding, what happens is at the end of the year, you'll get your $100 10% credit, then you have $1,100. Well, then the next year, you're going to get paid $110, because now you're going to get interest on your interest. And that's how we grow our money. If you're not getting interest on your interest, you're not compounding correctly. Now, in reverse, as I was saying about the credit cards get interest on their interest. Because if you got a credit card balance of $1,000 and you pay 10% and you pay that minimum payment, right? Then whatever's left over, they're going to charge you interest on whatever the current balance is. Some of them have a daily interest rate, especially if you take a cash advance on a credit card. They have a daily interest rate. So they're making hand over fist money from loaning you money, which you think is simple interest, but it is compounding, and it's compounding quickly. It's compounding at least monthly, not annually. The banks are making their money. And I'm not against anybody making their money. So let's just keep that, 100. Make your money. But the thing is that I want to make money too. And I want you to make money too, because this is how we secure our financial futures. And I hear everybody talk about generational wealth, generational wealth, generational wealth, right? Well, the first thing is education. You got to educate yourself and educate your kids. We should be teaching our 5-year-olds about compound interest with their little piggy banks that we're giving them. We should be teaching our 10-year-olds this, when we get them their first bank accounts. We should be teaching them compound interest from the beginning so they understand exponentially. Because the other big key in compound interest is time. So compound interest won't be the same for someone starting an account at age 40 as it will be for someone age 20. And conversely, if someone at age 20 starts it versus someone at age 60, you're not going to see the same amount of return, because you just don't have the amount of time. The biggest thing you have in your advantage right now today, no matter what your age is time. This is the only time you're going to have to get started on putting together a compound interest strategy. And so that's why I wanted to talk about that this week. I know we had some sound trouble last week when we first got started, and I'll review that again. But the first thing we really need to think about is, how are we compounding our money? If every week you get paid and you pay all your bills, and then whatever you have left is what you have left, cool. All I'm giving you is an alternative, a way to rethink that strategy so that it can pay you for overtime. So you don't lose the value of your money forever every time you get paid. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, because most of us are doing what we know to do or what we were shown to do. And so I'm talking about a different strategy, a different way to think about it. Redirected our money through vehicles that banks use. And it's all over the internet, right? And if you're not paying attention, you just don't see it. But we're putting it into the index strategy, then taking the money out and using it and allowing that money to stay in a vehicle that's going to be continuously moving and continuously growing. So those are the things I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, compound interest. And come back to it. If you're paying compound interest on your debt, and many folks, if you're watching the replay of your live, you understand that most people have debt in the following areas. You may or may not have a mortgage. You may a car note. Typically, folks will have a car note, but not everybody. You may have credit card debt. You also may have student loans or your children's student loans. So that's 4 places that you're paying out interest. Name 4 places that you're bringing in interest. That's the thing. As much interest as we're paying out, we should be having strategies for interest to come in, right? And if you have any of those debts, that's one of the things I also do. I work with people on their strategies to get out of these high interest debt debt accounts, to get them to where they're building more money on the other side and on the other stream. So that's really the important thing to think about, is to really, really, really look at what we're doing going forward. So if you have questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat, send me a DM, send me a text message, and I will get back to you, or I will talk to you on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube whenever you have. But that's my talk today. That's my Saran talk tonight on compound interest. And hopefully this was helpful to you. And I will be gone. Again, if you want to find me during the week, you can find me at Covered by Saran, where I'm posting information every day. Or if you want to come to my Dirty Little Secrets talk and talk live, let me know. In the next coming weeks, I'm going to have a credit specialist come with me and talk. I'm going to have someone on mortgages and real estate, people who specialize in these areas, because I think it's important that we talk what we know. And last but not least, I want to say that I thank you for supporting me. Go to the YouTube channel, hit like, subscribe, and share so that we can continue this conversation. So have a good night, and I'm out.